Hey guys! So WooCommerce just published this article on their blog explaining how to increase the speed and performance on our e-commerce websites. And they say that a website store has to be fast to gain as many paying customers as possible, which I agree with. If you have a good product but your site is really slow, it's just going to annoy people. So what I want to do is walk you through the important parts of this article and then take some actual steps to increase the speed and the load times of our demo site we made not too long ago, comfyanimals.com. We're going to speed up this site, so hopefully we can speed up your site at the same time. Going to grab my little highlighter here. And by the way, I also have a chat going with HostGator now so that they can help us too to increase the speed from the server side. Alright, so sorry if you hear that little sound. First up, WooCommerce recommends that we look to our host because they can make a big impact. Things like how well your server performs and the sorts of resources they provide are really important. But I'm confident HostGator is doing everything behind the scenes to make our site run fast, so we're going to skip that one for now and come back to it at the end. We already have a reliable host in HostGator. The next big thing that always comes up is to optimize our images. Oops. Okay, that one. And the best way to get your images loading faster is through compression. So we're gonna have to compress our images. They give us a WordPress plugin called WP Smush, which we'll try out. And then it goes on to talk about content delivery, which is sometimes something you have to pay for. However, Amazon CloudFront offers this for free, so we're going to check that out too. And finally, they say stay up to date. Update WooCommerce, it's always important. And we do already have a video on how to update WordPress themes and plugins, which you should see on my channel. And then coming down, there's some more helpful links and tips like that we should evaluate our WordPress plugins and our WooCommerce extensions, because a fast store has benefits for everyone, which is the final point they make. The tool I want to check out right now is called Pingdom, because that's where I started trying to optimize and increase the speed of our site, and I sort of ended up finding other tools through this one at first. So let's open up Pingdom and give our website a test. You just need to copy your domain name and paste it into this test bar right here and test now. And Pingdom will run a few tests, which I'll walk you through. It looks a little bit confusing down here. Those would be the number of requests our site is generating. No thanks, we don't want to sign up. But the most important part is at the top, performance grade, we get a 72 out of 100 for 96 requests on our site, a load time of 6.5 seconds, which is awful, really slow, and a page size of 3.7 megabytes. Because our website is slower than 76% of all tested websites, which is pretty bad. It's slower than a lot of other sites that people might be used to. So basically what we want to do is increase the performance grade somehow and decrease the load time, and hopefully decrease requests and page size at the same time. When we come down, you can hover over the colored area and see that the weight in bold, in white bold, is 1.54 seconds, which is what stands out here. And for the moment, it's going to be too complicated for our needs to examine all these little data bars. But what we can do is click on Performance Guide. And here it shows where we're not doing well, which is the low numbers, and where we are doing well, which is the higher numbers, like 100. So we're not doing well with combining external JavaScript, we're not combining external CSS, we're not leveraging browser caching, and we're doing a very average job of minimizing DNS lookups. So what we found here is 4 helpful areas to improve on, which is a start. That's a start to increase our website speed. The other tools like page analysis and history won't have much information. But we're getting somewhere. And what I did next in my journey to speed the site up is I looked up these 2 points. I looked up how to combine external CSS in WordPress, and hopefully JavaScript too. And we got a support link, which is unfortunately a little bit old, a lot of it old, 6 years. You have someone had the same problem now, and they're recommending some other tools like Why Slow. They're talking about that. So this fella, Thomas, is going through the problem, and he is frustrated. Anyways, he wants to know how to go about combining his external JavaScript and CSS. And so I read through this whole thing, and the result that he finally posted, by the way, if anyone ever finds a solution to a problem, do post the solution and let people learn in the future. Don't just say you solved it. So he did post a solution, but unfortunately it's a lot of code. And this is just not the kind of fix we're looking for right now. It's over our heads. But when we come down, we do also see at the very bottom, and usually the most helpful tips are at the very bottom, some guy recommends W3 Total Cache as the most complete in its line. Maybe he means solution. So what I did then is, of course, check out W3 Total Cache, which I'd heard about but had never used. And what we found here is apparently a really highly used WordPress plugin for web performance optimization. That's what we want to do. And it's even got an acronym, WPO, like SEO. Using caching, browser page object database, Minify, and content delivery network support. So this is obviously a tool we want to check out at the very minimum. It's got 1 million installs, great reviews, and more. I'm just going to respond to HostGator here. Alright, just some basic questions for HostGator chat, and they already delivered on the request and gave us a full test right here, which we can look at. So obviously check that out before the video is over. Average paid load time on the site I use for testing is 6.4 seconds. Your site came in at 6. It's better than average. Well, I don't know if I agree with that, but we're getting somewhere. We'll dig further. So back on W3 Total Cache, there's a nice video here, which I was going to watch, but I was a little bit impatient. And I just wanted to come down to the benefits when I was checking this out. It says at least 10 times improvement in overall site performance, grade A in Why Slow, or significant Google page speed improvements. And those look like useful links. So I clicked on Why Slow, and this looks interesting. However, it's an extension. It looks like it was made by Yahoo. Gives me that impression, and I don't want to install another extension on our browser or pay for anything. We definitely don't want to do that. So I clicked Google page speed because Why Slow looked like a little bit too much work. And lo and behold, Google offers a huge suite of page speed tools designed to analyze and optimize our site and use best practices. Alright, as HostGator keeps working for us. So, I mean, this is amazing. This is the best tool we've found so far. And when we copy our URL again, we can click Run Insights at Google, and I'll give you all these links below in the comments. Paste it in, and now we can analyze our site using developer tools. Click Analyze, and let's run through it. Okay, so we get a 40 out of 100, which is bad news. The good news is that we found this tool by Google. The bad news is we're below 50%. We're failing speed. And that's for mobile. You can see our site in mobile here, which looks decent. And on desktop, we get a 47 out of 100. The good news is Google brings up the same criteria that we found in our original search on Pingdom, this Swedish tool. Those criteria are to optimize images and to eliminate some parts of the JavaScript and CSS above the fold, and to reduce server response time. And then consider fixing leverage browser caching, and then the CSS, the JavaScript, and HTML again. And the desktop points look pretty similar. Now in Google, you can of course open up the suggestions, and you can check out the details, and they'll also have plenty of tips, although this is too much information for us at the moment. But they do have individual pages on rules for improving our speed, tips for developers, and general tips on explaining how website speed works, which can be really useful. But at the moment, we know we need to focus on optimizing images. We need to focus on where the JavaScript and the CSS exists and where it loads. And we need to focus on browser caching. Those three things, and that should really help our site speed. Back in HostGator, I asked them what actions would you take to speed up our site, and they say I would optimize images to be smaller, and that we should check out the topic serving scaled results. Right. Thanks very much to HostGator, and we're going to start improving the speed now. We're going to do some plugin work. So let's go back to our site and log into the dashboard. What we're going to do is install 3 plugins and then wait a few hours and let them work. And we're going to come back and test our website speed again in Google Developer Tools right here. Alright, and so just to be clear, we got a 40 out of 100, but let's analyze one more time. Okay, we got a 38 out of 100 on mobile and a 46 out of 100 on desktop. So apparently those can vary a little bit depending on when we test our site in Google, but overall needs improvement. Alright, so in our dashboard, let's click Plugins, Add New, and do a search for W3 Total Cache. Alright, so WordPress recommends WP Super Cache right here with 1 million active installs, but this plugin has 1 million active installs as well. So in my personal opinion, it looks like WP Super Cache was the best option for caching and optimization, and then an improvement came along and someone made W3 Total Cache, which is better. Looks like this is the new and improved version. Alright, so let's find it and plug it into our site. There we go. I'm going to click install now and then probably walk through a couple settings. Let's click activate. And I didn't install this plugin in our original demo because we don't want cache plugins operating when we're building our site and changing it a lot, because they can tend to remember older versions of the site and sometimes show us older versions or cached versions, which can be annoying because when you make changes like to the text or the images, they might not show up if you have a caching plugin running in the background. So let's click Settings on W3 Total Cache. And let's hide that message at the top. Let's check Enable for Page Cache, which will decrease the response time of our site. Alright, so response time is important. That actually showed up in Pingdom, and that would be the criteria like send, wait, and receive, because that's when our site is communicating with the server and with your user's web browser, and that can increase in time as different parts of the site go back and forth and are required to respond. So we can see our wait, as we saw before, was 1.54 seconds. So hopefully that wait will be smaller now that we checked Enable Caching. And now down below, there's an option to tackle the CSS and JavaScript file issue. So reduce load time by decreasing the size, which is obviously good at this point, so let's enable it. I'm going to leave all the other settings the same, and I'm just going to save with just checking two boxes. Alright, so we have Page Cache on, we have Minify enabled, and at the bottom we also have Browser Cache on. Alright, this plugin is now working, and you can pat yourself on the back because that's a nice improvement to the site. It's currently enabled. And perhaps in a later tutorial we'll walk through all the other links, but let me know if you have any questions there. Now let's go back to plugins, add new, and let's do a search for WP Smush. WP Smush. Verify it here, and it's this one in our dashboard, so let's install now and activate. Hopefully we won't have any settings here to work on, but we can always check. I'm also going to double check that these plugins don't conflict with each other, because sometimes you have two good plugins working, but the result is less good and less optimal than if just one of them was working alone, because they try to do the same thing. Alright, and WP Smush tells us that it's going to smush images on upload, so that's a good thing. Keep this checked. And smush in bulk. There are 58 image attachments in our media that have not been smushed yet. 7 images that are over 1 megabyte, so will be skipped using the free version. Alright, which is annoying. I mean, we might have to manually smush them using tiny PNG, but for now, let's do the bulk smush. Free accounts are limited to bulk smushing 50 images per request, which is fine. We can do multiple requests if we need. So let's click bulk smush, however many attachments you have. And as the plugin does its thing, it's reducing our website size by this amount of kilobytes. And while it's working, let's pop open my developer tools, and I'll show you that there's one more plugin even where we can minimize the JavaScript and CSS. I don't think we're going to need to use it, but that could be our third and final, resort. It's called async JavaScript, async attribute. Alright, so that would be how to load JavaScript asynchronously, which I'm pretty sure is beyond the scope of our needs. Pretty sure this is something that W3 Total Cache will do for us. The chat support, checking out our speed right now. And I'm going to look at the report they generated for us. Let's try to open that in a new tab. And we can see the latest performance for comfyamels.com and all sorts of good information. So obviously ask HostGator to check out your site and run these tests. And we can see at the top there's the things we need to focus on, like browser caching, images, JavaScript, and there's that CSS option right here, and a couple other pieces of information like the cache validator and the image dimensions. And even if this all looks new to you, there's no reason to worry, because all of it's explained and people are working on these issues right now just like you on Google, and hopefully posting their results too. And I'm working on it, so you're not alone, and there's going to be a solution even if we just increase our sites by a few percentage points of speed. We're going in the right direction. And we got an A on a lot of stuff, so that's pretty cool. We have a pretty good GPA. All these bottom things are points that WordPress and HostGator generally do on their own for us. But we absolutely needed to leverage browser caching, serve scaled images, optimize images, and defer parsing of JavaScript. High priority. Alright, so this is awesome. I'll leave you a link to this resource too in the comments, so you can check it out on your own if you don't want to go through the HostGator chat. Alright, WP Smush is almost done. Maybe it is all done. And Timothy from HostGator seems to want to get out of here because I've been keeping him. Alright, so let's click Save Changes. Make sure to do that. And our size was reduced by 2.2 megabytes, which is huge. In our performance test on Pingdom, the overall site speed was 3.7, or overall page size rather, was 3.7 megabytes, which is also the size of the website that we're looking at, 3.7 megabytes. So let's see if we can just refresh right now and see a change of 2.2 megabytes. Test now. It's measuring our page size in kilobytes, which is good. Kilobytes are smaller than megabytes by a factor of 1,000. And that didn't work. Pingdom gave us a worse result, in fact, on our speed. And our load time is disgraceful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out and run some errands and let the plugins start working in the backend. And I'm going to come back this evening when the day is done and run another test. And run another test on Google Page Insights and see if we get a better score. Because I'm still very confident and I want to guarantee that you guys will have faster websites after watching this video. Alright, so I'll see you guys later today. Alright, great guys, we're back now. It's been about 6 hours since we installed W3 Total Cache plugin and WP Smush plugin. And that's after we read the WooThemes blog post by Nicole Kohler. Big thanks to Nicole, by the way, on for things to consider with WooCommerce and speed. And that led us to test our website speed on this Swedish site called Pingdom, and then test our site in Google Developers using PageSpeed Insights. So we're going to test them again now. Hopefully the plugins are working and the web understands that our site's faster. For some reason Camtasia doesn't understand that my screen is a certain size, so we have to use my full desktop, but that's cool. And we hope the plugins are working. We hope our site is quicker. And we're going to test it again using the Swedish tool Pingdom and Google. And our score 6 hours ago was 72 out of 100, 41 requests, 22.12 second load time, which I think is a fluke because we started out at like 6 seconds. I'm not sure what caused that. Maybe just some little blip in the internet or something getting stuck. And our page size was 2.5 megabytes. So we want to see improvements all across these stats. Just to be sure we get a fresh test, I'm going to quit the browser and now reopen it. Of course, I'll give you guys links to all the tools we use today in the video notes below, so check those out. And we're going to run these tests again now. Alright, so that Pingdom site can be opened from the blog post. And Google PageSpeed Insights is right here. Links in the video notes below. And let's copy our domain name and hope we beat our scores. We're hoping the Cache plugin decreases response times and also improves our CSS and our JavaScript load times. And we're hoping that the WP Smush plugin makes our images load quicker, because that was really our number one problem, images being too big. Alright, let's test it first in the Swedish Pingdom tool. Test now. And we see improvements here. Our load time is down to 1.11 seconds, and that's actually the quickest load time I've seen in about 5 or 6 tests of comfyanimals.com. The first few were hovering around 3.5 seconds, 3.4 seconds, and then that crazy test that might have been a fluke was 22 seconds. So we will definitely take 1 second, and if we just visit the site, maybe we could count from when I hit enter, count how many seconds till it loads. Alright, still haven't hit enter, and just count from when you hear the click to how fast the page loads. Count how many seconds that is. Alright, so pretty quick. That felt like about a second. Maybe hovering around those milliseconds. Definitely quicker. And these other numbers are about the same. Performance grades about the same. Less requests than what we started with, which is good. The web and the Chrome browser we're using now have to do less requests to get our site live, which means that things that are loading have maybe been condensed or put in locations that make them quicker. It's really good. And page size is about the same. Alright, so we'll take that as improvements and we'll keep working. And now let's test the site in PageSpeed Insights. Click Analyze. And we're still facing a couple problems here, like optimized images and JavaScript and CSS is not rendering or loading how they want it to. How about desktop? Desktop has the same problems. So what we can take away from this is that basically you have to just keep trying, and it might not work the first time, but you can definitely improve the speed of your site. Right now we have images being condensed by Smush It. We might want to use another tool that WooCommerce recommends, which was TinyPNG to crunch our larger images, which might get our score up on Google or on Pingdom. Might help. We might want to try other plugins to work on the JavaScript and the CSS, although less plugins is a good thing when you're talking about messing with JavaScript and CSS. And there's a chance it's just going to take W3 total cache more than 6 hours or so to start working, like maybe it takes a whole 24 hours. So keep checking, keep trying to tweak, and I hope you enjoyed at least learning about the Google tool and the Pingdom tool and how to apply those plugins to our site to optimize the speed a little bit. At the very least, our site's loading quicker now. Pages seem to be showing up quicker as well. And of course, nothing broke when we smushed those images with the plugin, which is important. But this shop definitely feels like it loaded quicker right there. I have a feeling it's the large images that the free version of Smush It didn't touch. It didn't touch those large images. I feel like that's still holding our site scores back in those tests. It did not smush the large images. 2 images are over 1 megabyte. We could always bulk smush again, but that might only help so much. So let me know any questions in the comments, and let's keep increasing the speed, and let's try to get our Google score up to 100 on mobile and desktop. I think that's the best goal we can have at the moment. At least our user experience is 100 out of 100 though, so congratulations on that. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.